Hey, how are y'all doing? I hope everybody's doing all right. I am about to make this super easy apple pie. I have some fresh apples. Usually I have Granny Smith and mixed with other apples. This time, this was what was on sale. And I couldn't find any Granny Smith apples. Maybe, people are making a lot of pies, especially being home more. I have ready-made crusts. I usually do not make homemade crusts. This is a huge time saver when I make apple pies, sweet potato pies, or any other kind of pie that has a pastry crust. And I've got an egg for the egg wash with some 2% milk. That's going to be my egg wash for my crust. A little unsalted butter. I've got some cinnamon, uh, pumpkin pie spice, and nutmeg. And the pumpkin pie spice does have nutmeg in it, but for me, not enough. It's got cloves and other stuff in it, so I use that as well. So what I'm going to do is just cut up my apples, and I'm going to be right back. And this is going to be like one of the easiest and most delicious, simplest apple pies. You don't have to do a ton of stuff to make something good. You know, I'll see pies and things being made, and it's so many steps and it's so much. And I'm not putting that down, but for me, I'm not trying to spend all day long in the kitchen. I'm not trying to do a whole bunch of steps. I'm not trying to make it complicated. Something like a pie is really easy and simple. It should be. It shouldn't be complicated. It shouldn't take a long time. You know, But that's just me. So, stick around for one of the easiest, fastest, simplest apple pies, most delicious apple pies ever. You don't compromise on flavor just because it's so easy and simple. And you see, I don't, have that many ingredients. You can use whatever apples you have. And any kind of apples goes good with apple pies. People say, oh, don't use, red delicious. You can use red delicious. You can use this type of apple. You can use Fuji. You can use any other type of apple that you have. You can mix apples together. I prefer to mix Granny Smith with any other kind of apple because the Granny Smith is not as sweet. But like I said, I wasn't able to find Granny Smith. So use whatever type of fruit, apples that you have. If you would like to mix fruits up, mix some other fruit up with the apple, blueberries or something like that, do it. There's no rules except the ones that you impose upon yourself. Do whatever seems to work for you. But anyway, this is really easy. I'm going to cut up my apples and I will be right back. All right, I want to show you guys real quick, how I cut up apples. If you don't have an apple core, and I do have a peeler, but I do this so fast, I don't even bother with, like a peeler and all that. But I just cut the ends off, and then cut the the sides off. So I'm good. I do that, and I do it so fast. It takes no time. Of course, like I said, if you have a core and a peeler, it's going to be fast too. But I do it this way. I'm used to doing it this old school way, and or even just picking it up and just taking the skin off. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me hurry up and peel these apples and core them and get them into little chunks. So it's really easy. I'm back, and as you can see, I've chopped my apples up. I reserved one apple so that if you're doing, cutting this apple old school the way that I am, you see how I do it. You want to avoid that core if you don't have an apple core, which I'm fine not having one. You have that core left, you can just throw it in the trash. But that's the part of the apple you want. And, just cut it. It doesn't have to be, perfect chunks or slices or anything like that. I mean, my homemade apple pie is, anything I make is always very rustic. So, whatever. But anyway, you want your apples to be in pieces that are just about the same, width and thickness, no matter how you, cut them. And I've got my pan here. So let me move my tripod over. That's good. I think that's a good shot for you guys. I like you guys to always have like a close-up shot of everything. And I'm going to come in a little bigger for you. All right, that's good. So I'm going to get my apples into my pan. My apples were washed off before I cut them. You always want to wash everything off. I don't care if it has a skin. The only thing I don't wash off, whether it be fruit or vegetable, is a banana. Everything else, cantaloupe, apples, whatever, I make sure I wash them off. So there's your apples. What you want to do, I'm going to turn my heat on. Notice I haven't put any water in these apples at all. But you want to add some cinnamon. I like a lot of cinnamon. I like my apples very well spiced. I like everything, that I make with any type of spice to be very well spiced. I've got some nutmeg. Be careful with the nutmeg because the nutmeg is a strong, intense flavor. And I've got a little pumpkin pie spice. It's got cloves and stuff like that in it. So a generous amount of that. They say, use lemon juice to keep your apples from going brown, but the apples are going to turn brown from the cinnamon. But I've got a little bit of lemon juice, and it adds just a little bit of acidity to the... I'm not really putting the lemon juice in to keep the apples from turning brown because, like I said, I'm not worried about that. They're going to be baked in the crust. They've got cinnamon on them. And notice I have not put any water into this. I have put no water in here, and there's a reason why. You want your apples to sweat out. I'm going to put a tablespoon of butter in there. But you want your apples to sweat out. You're going to put the top on it, not adding any sugar. Top's going to go over there. And your apples are going to sweat out. They're going to release a lot of moisture. So you do not have to add any liquid. You do not have to add any water to this pot of apples while it's cooking. Have you ever tasted a pie or cut into a pie and it's like liquidy, it's watery? That's because a lot of times people will just take the apples just like this, the raw apples, and put them into the pie crust. If you let the apples sweat out like this first, they release a lot of the juice. And so you wind up with an apple pie that is not dry, but it's not super, watery either. I mean, I've been at a wedding before and I've seen a pie that looks so good. So I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that pie. Let me get a piece. And I cut into it and it's water. It's wet, like a really wet pie. And I'm like, oh no, and then I've cut into a pie that's been really dry. So you don't want your pie to be soaking wet, and you don't want it to be dry either. This ensures that, especially if you're making a fresh apple pie, it ensures that your pie is juicy but not wet, and it's not dry. And I am talking about making a pie here, even though it sounds, kind of suspect. But anyway, I'm going to let these apples go for about 6 or 7 minutes and get soft. And then I have a secret ingredient. I'll show it to you now while the apples are going. It's an apple pie filling, and you can get any kind of apple pie filling. This Comstock filling, I know Lucky Leaf has a filling. In fact, I usually get Lucky Leaf, but they were out, so I had to get this kind. But it doesn't matter as long as it's like this, the apple pie filling. And because I'm using apple pie filling, I am not using any sugar. I'm not adding any sugar because this already has a decent amount of sugar and sweetness to it already. I don't have to do any type of thickening with cornstarch or flour or anything like that with my apple mixture because this has enough thickener in it. You see it. So all I'm going to have to do is when this is cooked, when the fresh apples are cooked, add this to the mixture and put it, the fresh apple mixture, and put it inside my, pour it inside my crust. This is so easy because, like I said, I don't have to do anything with sugar. I don't have to do anything with thickening. So, and that also helps with a runny pie. There's nothing worse than a runny, wet pie. It just, as soon as you see it, it turns you off. You're looking forward to a nice piece of pie, and as soon as you cut into it, it's wet and it's runny. It's just whack and it's not cool. But so this helps so that you don't have a pie like that. And when you see my pie after it's baked and I cut into it, you're going to see exactly what I mean. So this is my little, mystery ingredient. And I'm going to let these apples go. You can hear them. I don't know if you can hear them sizzling, but you see the steam, the condensation coming up. And I have it at you see it's like a low heat. It's not even high. You see that jet? So about like that. You don't have to have it up high. And you want those apples to sweat out. You want them to release all of that appley goodness and meld with the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the pumpkin pie spice. So I'm going to give this another 5 minutes and I will be back. I wanted to come back and say that I did add a pinch, not a pinch, but about two or three drops of this pure vanilla. So I forgot to say that. I actually had forgotten about it when I was putting that pat of butter in the apples. But off camera, I put in a little of this vanilla extract. So it doesn't have to be this particular, pure vanilla extract. If you have imitation, I have used that as well. I like this better, but hey, make do with what you have. So just want to come back and say that I did add a little vanilla to the pie filling. All right. All right, y'all. So I let this go. Geez, it smells so good in here. All you smell is apples and spice. You guys know how wonderful the scent of cinnamon and apples and spices, nutmeg and all that is. But anyway, I've let this go for about 8 minutes. Look at that. Damn, that's sexy. Oh my God. Lord have mercy, Jesus. I'm going to add my Comstock, or if you have Lucky Leaf, and you want to add all of it. If you have any leftover filling, and I'm left-handed, guys, so, I would have it turned this way, but this is the way that it's comfortable for me to put this angle. So, all right, that's good. So you just want to, you can turn your heat off. You just want to incorporate the, the can filling. And again, once again, please do not add any sugar to this. Please, for God's sake, do not add any sugar. It does not need any more sugar when you add. The apples are already naturally sweet. It's just like sweet potatoes. Have you ever seen people make a sweet potato pie? And I have a vlog coming up for that also, if I haven't already uploaded it. But have you ever seen people make a sweet potato pie and they put like a cup of sugar in it? The sweet potatoes are already sweet. Apples, peaches, pineapples, the only fruits that really aren't, of course, are like strawberries and things like that, kiwi, but like apples, you don't have to dump all that sugar in. So doesn't that look, look at that, sexy. And like I said, I know people that don't like cinnamon. If you don't like cinnamon, don't use it. If you don't like nutmeg, don't use it. But I will tell you this, if you do not use any cinnamon, nutmeg you can get away with not using. But if you don't use any cinnamon, it does affect the taste of your pie. But anyway, this filling is ready. This is right. So let me pan. Sorry. So push that back. When I got my crust out of the freezer, it had broken all up. But that's all right, because you know how many times when I was little, my grandmother had pie crust. When she didn't, most of the time she made her own. But do you know how many times she bought pie crust and it broke up? Or, do you know how many times I have bought? Many times I've bought a pie crust and dropped it on the floor and it shattered into a million little pieces, or it just broke. I've had it in my freezer and something brushed up against it and it just broke up. That's cool, because it does not have to be perfect. And I just fit the little pieces back together. The filling is going, and this pie is going to be right regardless. It doesn't matter. So, okay, even though I'm left-handed, let me try to pour the filling in this way instead of the other way. Oh, you know what? Yeah, this is good. I was thinking about something else. I was getting ready to say I need to do the egg wash, but that's when I put the actual crust on there. And of course, you see that this is a deep dish. This is not a flimsy, little flimsy apple pie. This is a deep dish, thick BBW type of pie. Some meat to it. It is not, this little flimsy, skinny pie. So what you want to do is just smooth it. Notice, I didn't put any liquid in this pie. But if you make that and it's too thick for you, or you find that for whatever reason the apples are just not releasing that much water, feel free to add, a couple drops of water. That's no big deal. So you just want to smooth that down. Okay, I've got the top crust. That Pillsbury crust that I enrolled. This was just a regular, crust I have from when I'm used to making sweet potato pies. But this is so easy because if you want to do a lattice, you can do lattice. For me, I'm cool with just unrolling this, and I don't have to do no lattice and all that. So you just want to press it. And that's why I said I'm not worried about the crust breaking up. Because you see what I'm doing with this. I'm just going to cut. I have clean scissors. I'm just going to cut around the pie. I love crust of pies. To me, that is like one of the best parts besides the filling is the crust. And I don't know what I do with these little scraps, but I'll find something to do with it. So I have a little excess here. So see why I said I wasn't worried about the pie breaking up, because I'm kind of making up for everything by putting this little top crust. Sometimes you just have to make do with what you have, and it works out regardless. So I'm going to take a fork. Let's see, you have a good view? Yeah, you guys have a good view. Let's see, yeah, that's good. So I've got a fork, and I'm just going to crimp. Once again, you do not have to worry about perfection, especially when you're a home cook, because I've seen people make some of the most perfect looking dishes that didn't taste like shit. And I've seen some of the most raggediest looking dishes that didn't look like anything, and they tasted magnificent. So it's the love and the care that you put in. It's seasoning things right. It's putting care into how when you make it. It's not, always you want it to look good. Don't get me wrong, because we do eat, with our eyes first. But it doesn't have to be perfect, is what I'm saying. So that's crimped. And I forgot to preheat my oven. I'm going to preheat my oven to 350. It shouldn't take that long at all. So what I want to do now is I have about two or three tablespoons of milk, which I really 2% milk in here with 1 egg. Usually if you see me doing these food vlogs, a lot of times I'm doing like egg whites, or I'm doing a ratio of 1 egg white to 1 egg yolk to 2 egg whites and things like that. I'm taking some of the yolk out, the yellow part, the cholesterol out. For this, you want the yolk. You want the yellow part of the egg along with the white. And I'm using 2% milk instead of whole milk. I don't have a pastry brush, so I'm just gonna, I got a spoon, but I'm just gonna, and I don't even need all this. When I'm making pies for Thanksgiving, for friends, when I make pies for Christmas and Thanksgiving, I'm making a bunch of pies. So this is enough when I'm making a bunch of pies. This day I'm just making 1 pie, but I'm usually making a ton of pies, like at least 5 pies during the holidays. And so, this usually is not like an excess amount, but I do a good egg wash, as you can see. But I'm going to get a little pastry brush. But, hey, like I said, make do with what you have. If you don't have a pastry brush, then, get it on there however you see fit. So that's there like that. I've got a little of the unsalted butter. If, you don't have issues with salt, knock yourself out with, salted butter. That's cool. I'm not going to add a ton of butter. Just a little butter around the pie. So we've got this, nice egg wash with milk. And we've also got some butter. We've got cinnamon, a crust, nutmeg. I mean, how could you go wrong? And we've ensured that our pie is not going to be soaking wet when it comes out of the oven. All you guys that are out there making soaking wet pies, stop it. Because it doesn't have to happen. Some things can be soaking wet, but not pies. Pies shouldn't be that way. So, I think that's good. Let's see. You get another little piece near the crust. All right, let me get a couple little pieces near the crust, and then it's going to be good to go. So I put about a tablespoon of sugar in the, not sugar, because I didn't add any sugar to this. I put about a tablespoon of butter in the filling. And you see I've got, a little piece of butter scattered on the top. And you don't have to do this. Some people will sprinkle the top with a little granulated sugar. I've got some of that, if I can get it out of my cabinet. I've got a little turbinado sugar. And I'm just going to take a little handful and get it onto my crust. Not even that much, you see? So just a handful of that turbinado sugar onto my crust, and some of that pumpkin pie spice I am going to lightly sprinkle on top of the pie. My pie is ready for the oven. All I need to do is wait for that little beep for it to preheat. I'm going to put it in the center of my oven, on this center rack, and it's going to be in the center of my oven, and I'm going to bake for about 50 to 55 minutes. You may have to adjust for your particular oven. For my oven, sweet potato pies, apple pies, things like that, takes almost an hour to get that crust right. You may take 45 minutes. You might take 5 minutes over an hour and 5 minutes. But I usually, as a general rule, will do a sweet potato pie or an apple pie for 50 minutes. But usually it's about 50 minutes because 45 to 50 minutes because I'm not actually cooking the apples. The apples have been pre-cooked, so they're pretty much tender. So I'm really wanting that really golden crust. So what I do is, you know, at about the 25, 30 minute mark, I check to see if I need to tint the top because it's going to be turning golden. So I'll show you that, where you just, you know, tint so your pie crust doesn't get too dark. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait for my oven to preheat, which should be in a couple, you know, about a minute. And then I'm going to be back, put my pie in the oven. All right, y'all, my oven has beeped. I'm going to get this pie into the oven. Let me take my camera off the tripod. So you see it's right there in the middle. And I'm going to set my oven to 'I always do that. I don't know why I do that. I really don't. But I set my oven to 50 minutes. And like I said, you do need to check on your pie at some point to make sure the top is not browning too fast, and then tint it with foil, which I'll show you because that always happens to my pie. I usually have to tint it with foil, no big deal. And what else? That's about it. You're just gonna let your oven do its business for your pie, and it will be ready. And you know, you can do other stuff. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clean up. Not that I have a lot to clean up, and I have a roast chicken that I'm going to be doing for today, which is Sunday, for Sunday dinner. I'm having a friend over, and so we're going to have some nice roast chicken for Sunday dinner. So I'm going to set to that, and I'm going to try to vlog that as well, the roast chicken. It's a simple roast chicken. But yeah, if my oven's set to 50, I will be back when I have to check on my pie to make sure the crust is okay, and to see if I need to tint the top of the pie. All right. I just took this pie out, this freaking pie out this oven. Look at that. Lord. Oh my goodness. Like I say, you will find a prettier pie, but you will not find a sexier pie. You know, when you make your pie, always make sure you have a piece of foil down for easy cleanup, but oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. Woo! Look at this thing. Look at that. Look at the juice, and it's not runny. You see how the juice is thick? That's what I was talking about when you add that pie filling that already has the cornstarch and stuff in it. and you let your apples sweat out so that they're not runny and watery. Look at that crack. The cracks in the pie. That's money. Mm, mm, that's money right there. That is money right there. Mm. I can't wait to get my mouth on this. You sweet, sexy thing, you. I'm gonna let this pie cool off for about an hour, because it's not gonna be before dessert anyway. And it's about 4 o'clock on a Sunday. This is gonna be dessert for Sunday dinner. I always make these. I made this pie last year for a friend of mine that lives in Harvard Grace, and I told him, I said, I have a different recipe. It's better, it's juicier, and it's. I hope you're watching this. Because I think I made him a pie for either Christmas or his birthday, but I make pies anyway for people, certain people. But this is, oh Lord, this is nice. Y'all gotta make this. And you see how easy and simple it is. So I got my bird in the oven, my roast chicken to go with my Sunday dinner. This is gonna be dessert. I am happy. I'm going to relax. I'm going to have chicken and pie as leftovers for the week, throughout the week. Excuse me, that bird is in the oven. And look at this pie. Oh, Lord. All right, I'm going to let it cool off. And y'all know when I'm going to come back and cut it. I might have it with coffee. I might have it with ice cream. And it's nice and sweet. And all I needed was that pie filling. Oh my, look at that. You don't need to add any sugar. All you need is that can of pie filling. That's all you need. Let me go and take a shower, relax. I'm going to have this on my mind until I get a piece in my mouth later. This is so good. One thing about this pie, it does not necessarily cut the prettiest, but it tastes so good. As you cut it, because the crust is cracked in places with all the juice and the spices, like I said, it's not going to cut the prettiest every piece. I can cut a better piece than this, but I'm not always concerned about, cutting the prettiest piece of pie. I'm concerned about how it tastes, but look at that. Look at the inside of that pie. Look at that juice. Look at that crust. Like I said, you will find prettier pies and pies that cut better, but cut prettier. But this pie is so delicious. There's so much love into it. It's so simple. It's perfect in its simplicity. And if you make it for, you know, for someone, I'm telling you, they will feel the love. They will feel the love in this pie. Um, Usually I'll have this with ice cream. Look at that. Look at the layers. Look at how juicy. It's not dry. It's not too wet. The crust is very flaky and golden and done. You know, sometimes even at the bottom, sometimes pie crust, you know, doesn't really get that done. The apples are tender. You know, I just can't say enough about it. But, and when you taste it, look at that. That natural juice from the fresh apples and then the canned filling. The flaky crust. Taste it. It tastes so cinnamony. I know that's not a word. It is sweet. I can't really see anybody wanting it sweeter than this. There's nothing worse than a pie or cake that is too sweet. You know, almost sickeningly sweet. So, I don't know. But to me, it's the perfect amount of sweetness. It's the perfect amount of sweetness. The crust. I had a friend who ate like 2 pieces of it last night and yesterday evening and loved it when they visited and we had dinner. This is great with coffee. I have some hot tea. I actually have some hot tea that I'm having mine with a scoop of ice cream. That is just so good. So wholesome. So simple. So delicious. I'm going to try to cut another piece and cut it. This looks like it's going to cut better. You know, the first piece and the first couple pieces sometimes kind of tricky, but and then being that this crust is so, you know, flaky and cracked in a good way. But I'll take a picture of that when I cut it and have it looking kind of pretty with a piece of whipped cream or a scoop of ice cream or something like that. But yeah, you guys, thanks for supporting this channel and being a friend. I love y'all. Peace and blessings. Happy more check out. Bye.